for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $2.99. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorservices.com or call 1-888-5-SAWING.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fancy Friday to all of you and yours. It is the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3-martini lunch. It's common sense radio. It's all over the joint, my friends. Jamie Allman here with you. Ashlyn over there, just a few minutes away. About 12:30, Stephen Moore is going to be checking in with us, as he does every week, it seems now. Always like him, and we'll get the skinny on the economy. And, of course, I said yesterday, it's like you talk to it's frustrating because there's one element where there's real news, and then there's other element. It's literally a parallel universe where everything is just made up. It's frustrating because it drives me crazy. But everything is just made up. Trump is old and senile and blah, blah, blah. It's like, who are you freaking kidding here? And so, this environment that these people are creating, like it's a thing that President Trump is aged and whatever, is so comical and so crazy. And I'll bring you a little bit, because Martha McCallum really got into it with Chris Coons. And what these guys do usually is they get into a situation where they just simply make stuff up. And they will also, if you do go after them in some way, shape, or form, they'll just start talking over you. So this is what Democrat politicians tend to do. We've seen it at the hearing level, everything else. And it's not really a skill as much as it is a tactic. So when somebody starts to make a point and you know they're right, you just start babbling away. That's that's really how it goes. It's crazy. But anyway, this story of this week where you and you do have a lot of these individuals in the media who are simply making up the story that Donald Trump is sick or this or this. This is a guy who was running circles around any Democrat of recent memory who has accomplished more, is busier, as Martha McCallum will point out here, answers more questions than Biden did in a year. He answers them in 2 hours. So it's so fake, and it's at some point something has to give, because otherwise we're just going to have to meet these people at Gettysburg and get this over with, because somehow there are not two sides here. There are not two opinions about things. I've told you that already about, the pedophile stuff or the aged stuff. But it's so weird to watch people living in this parallel universe. The only good news is that it never works out for them. It didn't work out for them in 2016. It didn't work out for them in 2024. And so, but they never learn. They just keep on creating this fantasy. And thank goodness for Martha McCallum, who I like her. She's tough. Sometimes she's a little bit, I'm everybody's TV mommy thing, because she always does all these sad. She loves doing like sad stories and being all sad about things. She loves those kind of really, really morose stories. But hey, Jared, howdy, David. How you doing? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Facebook page and to Rumble. And if you're listening on the app, whatever, hello. But yeah, but she is tough, though, when she's not in her I'm everybody's TV mommy mode. And so when she gets these tough interviews, she's probably one of the tougher interviewers on the air. So here's how she dealt with Chris Coons.
As someone who cares for President Biden, I, too, was concerned about what that several-second pause meant, what was happening at the moment. But I was with President Biden earlier today. We were at the funeral of a friend of ours, someone who long served as the mayor of Wilmington, and he's fine. I see regular incidents where President Trump falls asleep in meetings in the middle of the day, makes no sense in answering questions. And frankly, what I think the average Delawarean wants to hear is, what are we going to do to lower their costs? And what are we going to do to avoid future pointless wars overseas? Two things President Trump ran on when he was successfully elected in 2024.
By the way, before I let Martha McCallum eat him alive here, the falling asleep, that kind of thing, is not unusual, to tell you the truth. It's because President Trump goes to bed about 7 hours after Chris Coons goes to bed. I'm sure he's a 9 o'clock guy. Trump's like a 3 a.m. guy. And ultimately, that's going to catch up on you. It's not that great, but it's not a disease, and it's not a problem, whatever. I do remember once, because, and whether it's narcolepsy, I don't know. I've talked about that before with the Clayton Sleep Institute, but oftentimes it is a product of people who are up late at night and everything else. And sometimes there's a crash time, like around 3 or 4. When you're a very productive, highly productive person and you don't sleep very much, that does happen, and that's not a bad thing. And so I worked for Archbishop Raymond Burke back in the day, the St. Louis Archbishop, and he had, I guess you could call it narcolepsy, whatever. But one time I was in a meeting with him, and again, he was another guy that didn't sleep a whole lot, went to bed super late and got up super early. It was just a lot of highly productive people are like that. There are a lot of CEOs. I'll never forget the guy who, Robert Hyland, when he ran KMOX, Hyland would get in like at 4:30 in the morning. I mean, some of these guys are like that. There's a lot of CEOs, executives are like that. Anyway, so I'm sitting there in this meeting, and it's about 9 o'clock at night, whatever. I'm sitting there in this meeting with the Archbishop at his residence. They call it the mansion, but it's not really a mansion. It's a house, fancy house. Sitting up in his office there, and he's got like Archbishop Burke smoked cigars that were like a foot long. I mean, these were gigantic cigars. I don't know why he liked the longer. They're like gigantic. So I'm talking to him, and he has the cigar in his mouth, and he literally falls asleep while we're sitting there with the cigar in his mouth. Like he's sleeping. I could have rifled through his pockets if I wanted. I'm just kidding. But he was asleep with the cigar in his mouth. And then you just sit there and wait. You're just kind of like, I didn't like say, hello, or go. I didn't do anything like that. I just sat there, and eventually he just woke up again. I mean, it was really kind of crazy. But it wasn't like he had some kind of disease or anything.
Pointless wars overseas. Two things President Trump ran on when he was successfully elected in 2024.
Well, I mean, we can go back and forth, on the cognitive abilities of President Trump versus what was quite obvious from President Biden. President Trump answers like 30 to 100 questions every single day from the press. Most days, he is
Martha,
a completely.
the question
We
he
never saw
hasn't
President
answered
Biden take that risk in a million years of answering questions that way. Yeah. No, I think it is significant because I think there was a lot of cover-up, frankly, of his condition, and I think that you probably were part of that.
What's the goal of the war in Iran?
Yeah. So that's what they do. It's a tactic. A lot of people in Chris Coons's area there, they're not very bright. So that's kind of what monkeys do, like they react very emotionally and physically and everything else under stress. And so Coons is nothing more than a simian. He just doesn't know any other way, because politicians, again, a lot of them are not the most intelligent people on the planet. That's why they are where they are. And they're not there because they're intelligent. I'll tell you that. But so what they do is they wind up just kind of temper tantruming, and it's kind of a mild form of temper tantruming. When she's making a point, he just brings up, they'll just throw anything out there. If you notice, it's very frustrating to listen to, first of all. I'm glad Martha McCallum didn't stop talking and let him just kind of bloviate there. But let's, to her point, President Trump is asking question after question after question, answering question after question, is constantly busy, constantly on the move, and he runs circles around Biden, and these people all just kind of forget about that. And, of course, a lot of people in the media don't like the fact that President Trump is such a hard worker, because that means they have to work hard, too. And President Trump always has a great weekend tactic. And what President Trump will do on the weekends, it'll be like 2 a.m, and he'll text out something very consequential, and reporters then have their weekends ruined because they have to cover it all weekend long. And President Trump does that constantly, and it's a great tactic, and it works. And so they hate President Trump because they don't ever have weekends or time off. And, I'm not saying this about everybody, but aside from a lot of politicians not being particularly bright, most people in the media are excruciatingly lazy. And so they are as lazy. They're the laziest people I've ever known in my life. So they don't like to have to do this work and things like that. I hope you guys have basically concluded that you and me, Ashlyn, and everybody who's listening to the show, we're the brilliant ones in society, and everybody else is. I hope you've understood that. Hey, by the way, just as an aside, man, I wish ICE would start beating these people with sticks at these protests. I don't know whether you've seen the protest or not, but I think it's just time to start beating people with nightsticks. I think that's the only solution to this. Somebody has to have their head cracked open repeatedly, because I don't know how much we have to put up with what we're seeing out there. So more violence, please. I mean, boy, I'm on a roll, aren't I? Hey, listen to this, though, people. Here's the other alternative reality, right? Bruce Springsteen, the Foo Fighters, and Dave Matthews. Now, I feel so badly. The Dave Matthews thing is a bummer to me because I happen to I used to go to Dave Matthews used to come to St. Louis every summer. And we would go to his concerts all the time. We that's what we did. I mean, I love Dave Matthews. And then these guys start to pull this stuff, and I would never go to a Dave Matthews concert. Springsteen was the same way. If Springsteen ever came to St. Louis, I'd always go to his concerts all the time. Foo Fighters, I don't know. They're just whatever they are. But I think is that Dave Grohl? Is that the guy? I guess. I don't know. So anyway, they've got a Power to the People protest festival coming up in ahead of the midterms. So this is going to be just weeks before the November 2026 election. And the music festival was organized by Rage Against the Machine guitarist Tom Morello. So all these guys are a bunch of aging boomers, and they're trying to kind of get as much of an audience as they possibly can. So they're starting to dip back into the young people rage thing going on. And it's so interesting. And what's weird about it is, and you could see the poster for it looks like one of these commie posters that you could imagine with the harsh coloring. It's black and red. There's a person with a leather jacket on and a little Jippo Nolan hat carrying a flag that has a picture of the world on it. You've got another guy who is another person who has a big afro, and then you have another guy who is holding a torch like the Statue of Liberty. And it's the Power to the People, a day of peace, love, justice, and music. And it's so weird because the people, at least in my opinion, who matter in this country, who are productive and who give something back to this country, already have the power. The power is not in the hands of our political structure. So it's kind of weird to see these individuals who are claiming that the issue is that the people don't have power. The people do have power. These people are pissed that we strip the power from their Obama bots and their world and the Democrat Party. And so it's so weird to be like, yeah, we're fighting for power to the people. It's like, no, you're not. You're fighting to reclaim the power of the Democrat Party, which you have lost. And you don't have the power over people aren't getting hired just because they're black anymore. That pisses you off. I get it. People, some of them kids, cannot have sex-changing transformations with surgery, that kind of thing. I know that pisses you off. You no longer can simply commit rampant fraud, or your institutions, as you used to call them, are no longer stealing from the American taxpayer, and that pisses you off. You don't have mail-in balloting in most places anymore. You can't cheat in elections. That pisses you off. The right people are finally getting their due in the United States of America after half a century of having it stripped from us by the globalists and the Democrats and the Republicans and beyond. So that's where we're at. So this whole power to the people thing is fooling no one. And I don't care whether you're Foo Fighters, Bruce Springsteen, Dave Matthews Band, Rage Against the Machine. They're all prostitutes for globalists and centralized political Democrat socialist power. And that's all they are. They're total harlots here. And they're presenting themselves as some kind of, fighters or whatever. And really what they are a bunch of serfs and servants to the master that is the Democrat Socialist Party. And that's what they are. And they're fooling no one, except for, of course, for all the people who are going out there and hanging out. Anyway, last night was a fun night. I told you guys that I was able to go to the Missouri Athletic Club. It was really a ton of fun. Went down there, I'll put some stuff on the internet here, on Facebook, and let you know what is all the pictures and stuff like that. Tranny Anderson is one of the people I was really wanting to focus on because she does some writing that I particularly appreciate. Other two people there, the songwriters. It's a concert, too. So I met a lot of really great people there, and I have a lot of my music now, my writing in the hands of some really great people in Nashville, which is great. And I'll play a couple of songs for you if you want me to. This is kind of fun. This is a fun one. Because I think you guys will, because you guys are in that mode. This is kind of a fun one. But I got a couple really other good ones. But this is one I wrote just for fun, and I think you'll like it.
Creaked open doors, so I saw your pretty eyes next to me. You said it was nothing, you were just driving by, but you were with me.
And we talked of diving boards at old motels and Fanta grape in the machines and flat pillows on the bed and 25-cent magic fingers.
And you looked at me and said,
and I looked at you into your pretty eyes and said the same.
It all
blasted
into the air. I was always there.
I never left
Out of pretty eyes.
I saw them driving by, but you were in a room right next to me.
I went outside to grab some ice for the sody pop.
I left your pretty eyes with the TV on.
I left the key and got everything we need. And then the door was locked. I couldn't see
Your pretty eyes anymore
The door was shut,
by something we don't know.
and still
I could see
you had the room.
right next to me.
Coming up, the great Stephen Moore. It is Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Yeah, so this is another one too. I'm having fun here with a lot of stuff. But I have some real good ones too, though. These are just playful ones as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, you guys, Stephen Moore, straight ahead.
I feel forced to hold on to a dark and cold tether of the pretty shining sun. I see its warmth above, but I am beneath, and it's dark and cold this string, this sheet.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Newsteaders Fine Jewelry and Diana, who is just great. You walk in there today, and I think you ought to pop in, say hi, say you heard the Newsteaders name right there on the Allman Report and the 3 Martini Lunch. Ask them what would really wow somebody for a nice little graduation gift or maybe a confirmation gift. I know it's kind of past May, but if you're just looking for something to present to somebody, or maybe have a little fun with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it happens to be, or with your husband, if you want to go ahead and start to look at the Bulova watch line, which is fantastic. I have a Frank Sinatra Bulova watch, which is great. He is a Bulova watch wearer, and they're classic, and they really absolutely have such style. And you can get the classic style, but you can also, if you want to, get the sporty ones, too. They have watches that are like diving watches and things like that are kind of fun. You could wear at the pool, that kind of thing. So it's right there at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend. God is welcome here is above the door, and that's what the Newsteader vibe is all about. Anna is also great. Teresa, these people are jewelers. They're not salespeople. And so they're not pushing a product. They'll show you exactly. And if you're looking for something, you can name kind of your budget or whatever, and Diana will help you through that. The stacker rings are really super popular and a great price performer as well. So check it out. It is right there, wowdiamonds.com. These are lab-grown diamonds as well as mined diamonds, and that's where the wow comes from. You can walk in and check that out as well. wowdiamonds.com. That's wowdiamonds.com.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
You're not going to hear this from the legacy media, or if you do, it will be a whisper. Several deep blue states are quietly pulling back free health care to illegals. Let me say it louder. Blue states are no longer going to give free health care to illegals. Why? Well, the Trump administration has made it clear, if your state is going to fight against ICE, harbor, protect illegals, we will not give your state federal dollars. Your blue state want to provide free health care? Your state pays for it. But there's an issue. These blue states are deep in the red when it comes to their budgets. And, of course, that's going to put more pressure on legitimate citizens. The illegals will not be voting, or shouldn't be, so blue state leaders are protecting their political arse. The list of blue states cutting the freebies include Illinois, California, Colorado, Minnesota, and you can expect New York State and others not far behind. Freebies for illegals were never free for American voters, and even Democrats should thank Trump for this action, but I'm sure they won't.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere. The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800 Get Windows.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It is a fancy Friday. It is the 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL, one of our favorites. Always speaking common sense about the economy and beyond and settling it one way or the other for us because, again, as I pointed out, it depends on which channel you're watching or what you're reading. Is the economy tanking or is it not tanking? It's that kind of thing. Stephen Moore, Unleash Prosperity Hotline, comes to your inbox every single morning. I love it. It's totally free, and you can subscribe to that and also, of course, listen to Stephen Moore's show here on News Talk STL every weekend. More Money. Stephen Moore, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Jamie. Good. I hope you're having have a good weekend.
Yeah. So far, so good. So, it's crazy because I know that Scott Bassett had his news conference yesterday, or not news conference, but he had a briefing yesterday, which he laid out the truth about the economy. So where are we really? What's the truth about the economy?
I'd say it's been pretty durable and resilient. I know people are very angry about high prices of gasoline and food and housing, so I get that, and that includes my wife. So that's the principal concern of consumers. Consumer confidence is very low right now. But then you look at those are all just survey data, but you look at the real hardcore data about what's really happening in the economy, and it looks a lot better. And not great, but good. So you've got, the latest report is the economy is in the third quarter of this year is growing at 3.5% to 4%. That's a very positive number. Consumers are still spending. They say they're stressed out, and maybe they are, but they're still going out and shopping. The jobs numbers are pretty solid. And look at the stock market. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we've got all-time highs on the S&P. I haven't looked today, so if there's a crash today, let me know. But, we've seen a really all-time highs in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. So I'm going to give the economy maybe a B-.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. I just bought a plane ticket to go and see my new grandbaby out in San Diego.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We missed it because of a snowstorm a while back, but, and even that wasn't that expensive. And I just bought the ticket. So I'm leaving on the 5th of June. So, the ticket, it depends, I guess, on where you're going or whatever, what you're flying. But even that didn't seem to be very expensive to me. So it was, like $370 or something. I'm like, that's pretty inexpensive.
Round trip?
Yeah, pretty inexpensive for when you're just getting it 10 days before you leave or a week before you leave.
Yeah, so that's that's a pretty good fare.
Yeah,
I mean, I have the problem where I oftentimes make my because I've got a crazy schedule, so sometimes it's just 48 hours in advance, and it's expensive. I had to fly to Nashville and back to D.C. At the last minute, and the round trip was $1,000. So that was quite an expense.
Yeah,
so it kind of depends on. But look, that's the great thing about America. You can shop around if you're diligent and you make your reservations early. You can get good fares. I think people are. By the way, it's so interesting because if you ask, Democrat voters, how's the economy? It's horrible, awful. I hate this economy.
Yeah.
If you ask Republicans, they're a little bit more upbeat. So a lot of this is just a hate Trump phenomenon where nobody wants to say anything good about the economy if they're a Democrat because they hate Trump and they don't want to say anything complimentary about his policies. The other thing, I find so interesting, and something we've talked about on this show in many weeks past, is the tax cut. People are really feeling the effects of this, the no tax on tips, the no tax on Social Security, the no tax on overtime. I know there are some restrictions on it, but boy, that's put money in the pockets of people. And think about how bad it would be for the middle class if we had not, the average family saving about $2,500 this year on taxes. Boy, they'd be angry as wasps if they had not had that tax cut. We're paying these higher prices for gas.
Yeah, what's interesting too about this, and I know you talk about this quite a bit. I know the Prosperity Hotline has a lot of articles about it. It's interesting how the gallon of gas price, and like for instance in Missouri, it's vastly different than it is in Illinois. Illinois is much higher, and it's funny how the people don't focus on the extra hurt because of the taxes on the gallon of gas. California the same way. And instead of focusing on, wow, the taxes should be the thing that really exacerbates your pain, but they only focus on the actual Trump effect.
So this is a very important point you're making in terms of the nation's finances. And so if you look, I kind of laugh when I hear all these Democrats say, "Well, we're gonna make America more affordable." Trump, we're gonna get rid of all these high gas prices and high housing prices and high healthcare prices. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. You Democrats run 23 of the states. How's it going there? Oh, guess what? Those are the 23 most expensive states. So it's like, wait a minute. These are the people who can't control the prices. Do you know what state is the most expensive in the country? California. What's next? Illinois. What's next? New York. What's next? New Jersey. They are incapable of controlling costs, and yet they say, "Oh, give us the reins of power in Washington. We'll bring costs down." We'll see. I'm kind of doubtful.
Yeah, right. Well, and I know you were talking about your wife and shopping and things like that. I was telling the story the other day that it does indeed really, in terms of your prices, depend on where you're going. So I had to go into Whole Foods to get something and passed by the avocados at Whole Foods. And they were...
How much is an avocado?
Well, at Whole Foods, it's $1.79, but I can get one for 49 cents at the local chain.
An avocado for 49 cents?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
I know. I mean, I use that as a really good gauge because, I could go ahead and buy a $1.79 avocado, but why do that if I could just go down the street and buy a 49-cent avocado? Sometimes they're 59 cents, whatever.
Yeah, but I was at the, when I was, now when you go to get a hamburger at a fries and a Coke at a fast food place, it can be like $10, $11.
Yeah.
I remember it was $4. So, prices are up, no question about it. By the way, I've said this many times on your show, they are up, and 80% of the increase in the cost is due to Biden, because that's when it happened, when Biden was president. And so we're still feeling the residual effects. But, the latest increase in gas prices is due to what happened in Iran. And, people have to make up their own mind whether that, short-term pain we're paying at the pump is worth the potentially long-term gain of disarming the Iranians from nuclear weapons. And that's not for me to judge. But let's hope that we can get the Straits of Hormuz open. If we do, I think by the mid to late summer, guys, it's almost summer already.
I know, yeah.
but sort of midsummer, I think we'll start to see. What are you paying there in St. Louis for gas?
It is about $4.20, something like that, $4.25 sometimes.
Yeah, you're a little bit below the national average. So $4.50 nationally. By the way, you know what it is in California? $6.50.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I mean, thankfully, like for my son and his wife, they work from home, which is, thank goodness they barely ever drive.
Gosh.
Yeah, but when you do look at the Strait of Hormuz, I think this could happen. It could be open by next week, for crying out loud, depending on what happens.
Yeah, but it's going to take a while, even if that were right. And I don't believe any of these forecasts because they've been wrong for the last couple of months. It's not going to happen any day. So I'm cautious about some of these predictions. But let's say that we did, and I hope you're right. Next week we get the straits open. It's going to take a couple of months, to get everything back to normal. And there's a lot of the energy infrastructure that was, ruined because of the fighting there in Iran. So, we'll see a gradual reduction in gas prices, but it won't happen overnight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. I that sounds good, but I think I absolutely think that there's relief in sight. And the one thing before I let you go, I wanted to focus because I know we did talk about it, and you kind of broached it. It's interesting that it seems like consumer spending is still alive and well. I mean, I could go to buy a mall at, I think I've told you this before, like 2:00 in the afternoon on a weekday, and it's filled.
Yeah. So now, it's a little bit when they say, well, consumer spending is up by, 6%. Well, remember, some of the reason the consumer spending is up is because things cost more. So I want to be, make sure. But people are. I've experienced the same thing, and the national data show exactly what you're saying, Jamie, which is, people are still shopping. The question is, are they going into debt on their credit cards? We'll see. What those numbers look like. But Look, people hate paying high gas prices. That's been true for 50 years, and they get angry when they have to pay, for the nationally $4.50 a gallon for gas. So, if Trump has to get those gas prices down, I think people will be in a better mood.
Yeah, and actually, on the other side of that, Stephen Moore, is that people are still going to malls. It must be the Auntie Anne's pretzels or the Orange Julius. I can't tell, but people are actually still going to malls. That's pretty.
And restaurants. Try to get a restaurant reservation.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, friend, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Stephen Moore, and the Unleashed Prosperity Hotline newsletter is so great, and your show is fantastic on the weekends here at News Talk, so we appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks, and folks, sign up. It's free. Just
it's free.
UnleashedProsperity.com, and you can get that hotline delivered to your email every morning for free.
You guys work pretty hard on that. That's pretty.
It's fun. It's a labor of love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's chock full of info for sure. All right, Stephen Moore, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Yeah, do they still have Orange Julius at malls? No, do they? I know those are called Auntie Anne's pretzels, right? Those kids used to love those. They're really good, though. By the way. I think they use syringes to inject the pretzels with butter because they're really good. Some people get the cinnamon pretzels. It's like, why do you do that? Is the pretzel just not good enough? You got to put candy on it? Ashton's like, yeah. Oh. Yeah, Julie's like, there are no malls. Yeah, well, Chesterfield Mall is looks like Thunder Mad Max out of a Mad Max movie. That place is leveled. But the Galleria is still up there. If you feel like getting carjacked. Just kidding. Just kidding about carjacking. Nothing like carjacking jokes on a Friday, huh? For you? Just for you. See? It's free. Come on, people. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management, joining us this Sunday right here on News Talk STL for the Serenity Wealth Now Show. We've got my friend Joel Hauser. We're going to come in, spend some time talking about protection strategies to protect your income, to protect your assets, and more importantly, the lifestyle you deserve. So tune in right here Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for the Serenity Wealth Show, airing right here on News Talk STL or on your Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets. We'll see you then.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Tim and I are out, but Nate Lucas, Congressman Eric Burleson's communications director, will be hosting. He talks to Congressman Onder at 4:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Schneider's True Value.
All the best things in life are free. You can keep them for the birds and bees. I want money.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. And I had to, well, I didn't have to. She just asked, like, what's Orange Julius? Because she's a baby. But it was way back I think it was in the 80s or something, though, still. Or 70s and 80s. And they had, like, a stand at the mall. I actually have never had one. I just saw people drinking them. And I guess it's like, I told her it was like kind of like Kool-Aid, like orange drink. You know how orange drink. Dave Chappelle used to talk about people in there. How they like grape drink, orange drink. But I always, but you know, the idea, because that was part of the thing, is that the idea of actually, like, we didn't really hang out at malls when I was a kid. Like, that didn't. And when we went there, it was usually with mom or dad or something, and you weren't getting no Orange Julius. You weren't getting nothing if it wasn't why you're there. So, but yeah, Orange Julius is I think it's like a drink. It's like DRANK. It's the kind of stuff you buy like in those big plastic jugs. But I think it was fancier than that, though. I think they mixed it or frothed it or some nonsense like that. But it was a thing, though. It was a deal. The Crestwood Mall, I'm always amazed by food courts. It's almost as if sometimes people just go to the mall just for the food court. They almost have to, because otherwise there wouldn't be like 10 restaurants at the food court in Crestwood, like, for instance. Like 10. I mean, I might be undercounting that. And it's almost like the food court. That's one thing I hope never goes away, even though I actually have – I haven't done a lot of things. I need to kind of get with the program here. I've never sat in a food court and eaten before. Even with the kids. I've never done that, you know? Just the idea of going to a mall anyway used to be back in the day before Amazon and stuff. It used to be such drudgery, and you see all these men who have basically their souls have been ripped out of their body. They're sitting in those massage chairs waiting for their wives. They've lost everything. They've been stripped of anything that makes them whole and human as they sit there in a massage chair waiting for their wife. Then of course, are the people who are at the Galleria. There is a there is a cheesecake factory. I think it's still there. Yeah, and the Cheesecake Factory, the menu is 100 pages long. Like, if you don't find anything at the Cheesecake Factory that you can eat, it's impossible. There's got to be something that you can eat. The problem is, aside from waiting 2 hours to get in, it takes you 2 hours to decide what to eat at the Cheesecake Factory. So you're there probably for half a day. One time, though, I was with the kids, and it was the Cheesecake Factory. It was like a 2-hour wait or something like that, or an hour wait. And you have people who are sitting, talk about, and their souls have been stripped out of their bodies as well. They're sitting on that round vinyl seating thing that's wrapped around like a fake tree or a pole or something outside of the Cheesecake Factory, and they're waiting to get in. And to me, there's nothing worth waiting that long for, anything, but much less food. But they have a bar, which is great. So I have no shame. And when Aiden was like 2 or 1.5 or whatever, and we were going to the Cheesecake Factory for some reason, and I went right to the bar, and I had a drink while I'm holding Aiden in my arm, because that's the only way it's tolerable. If you go to the bar and drink away the wait time, because you can't. Certainly, there's not. I mean, what are you going to talk about on a round vinyl seat with somebody, even your wife or a husband? What do you talk about? Well, nowadays most people just are looking on their phones and stuff like that, so that's how that goes. But I did have one experience, so because this is a big deal to me, when you ask for a cup for water and they give you their little ghetto cups to punish you. I will never go to your place again. I assure you, I will never go. So what's crazy is I went to this place, this is a while back, and it was a gyro place at the Crestwood Mall. And actually, I love gyros. I mean, they're good, but you need to, not eat for a month after you've had one. But I went and got this gyro, and they wanted a tip. But these people who they're standing behind a counter. I'm not giving you $1.50 tip to stand behind a counter. But before I even did anything, I asked for a cup for water just to see, and they gave me one of their ghetto cups, and I was like, that's why I'm not giving you a tip. And I said, push the button, and that was it. Can you imagine people asking you for a tip and then giving you some ghetto cup for water after taking an extra $1.50 or whatever, just so they could stand there and check you out? I mean, crazy. So that's a real problem. People who give cups, like Jimmy John's is cool. Like Jimmy John's will give you a big cup for water. That's one thing I noticed is that Jimmy John's does that. Some other McDonald's doesn't. They give you a little ghetto cup, that kind of thing. And believe me, it can't be that expensive. Between that and the people who make you ask for a bag, like at the hardware store or any store, those people drive me crazy also. That's my Friday bitch session, everybody. Did you guys see this, by the way? It is the Trump White House. These guys are so playful. I love that. The aliens.gov website. It's really great. Elizabeth Kaiser is going to be coming in with us as well. She's going to give us an update on what exactly is happening, like, for instance, in Festus, where they actually have collected enough signatures to recall the mayor. I mean, this whole data center thing has become their bighorn. I mean, it's become a massacre down there. We'll follow up on all that. It's Common Sense Radio on this happy Friday, fancy Friday. Caitlin Collins, by the way, too, tried to push some Dem talking points, and this was from yesterday, and Bissett just had her for lunch. We'll follow up on that, too. It's Common Sense Radio.
State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting. That's stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District.
This spacecraft will be descending at 9,000 miles per hour.
Wow.
And the friction with the air will hit 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. No, thank you. Hey, I'm claustrophobic. I don't even like to get in a scanner at the airport, much less this little space capsule for 9 days.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump holding a White House Situation Room meeting with advisors as he looks to make a final determination, moving forward with a deal to extend the Iran ceasefire. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters last night that a lot of issues still need to be worked out, but he feels that progress is being made.
There are a lot of details to work out, but what I mean is I think we're making progress. We're getting to a point where we could potentially sit down and settle these issues, but that requires us to make a little bit more progress. I can't guarantee that we're going to get there, but right now I feel pretty good about it.
A rocket belonging to Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin exploded during a test at the launch pad last night. It shook nearby homes with the explosion, also briefly painting the sky orange. Blue Origin and its New Glenn rocket exploded during an engine firing test being conducted ahead of what's supposed to have been a satellite launch for next week. 5 people have died, several dozen been injured in a work zone crash. It happened when a bus plowed into cars slowing down in a work zone south of Washington, D.C. A fire on a train car near New York's Penn Station injured 5 people and disrupted service for many commuters early today. Authorities say the fire resulted in train delays in New Jersey Transit and Amtrak rail service into New York. Rescuers tried to reach 4 climbers who fell on Mount McKinley.
The conditions of the 4 missing climbers are not known. The National Park Service says they fell on Alaska's Mount McKinley, North America's tallest peak. Rangers have been hoping for a weather window that would allow them to reach the area by helicopter. The climbers fell near Denali Pass at about 18,200 feet. They were part of a 7-person team. A park spokesman says officials have been in contact with the other 3 climbers who returned to an area known as High Camp around 17,000 feet. I'm Mike Hemp.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million citizens carry medical debt while paying for overpriced and complicated health insurance. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. Plus, you can enroll at any time. Stand up to health insurance with a biblical solution. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Maybe this is you too. There is enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It's amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. And yeah, you could save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Here's the number. They're easy to talk to. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Skies are cloudy, a lot of rain falling, and even some thunderstorms south of St. Louis this afternoon. Most of that is expected to kind of dry up by the time it gets to the metro area, but let's keep an eye out for an isolated shower or a thunderstorm, even when it gets to game time for the Cardinals here this evening. Highs today and through the weekend should be the low 80s or close to 80. And again, just a few spot storms each day on Saturday and again on Sunday. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu Beef French Dip. I love Capriati's, and you will too. Visit Capriati's now at 2 locations, on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Think you're just getting older? Stiff in the morning, low energy, aches that weren't there 5 years ago?
Maybe. Or maybe it's your mattress. At Snooze Mattress and Wellness, we're locally owned and family owned, and we use advanced sleep technology to measure your pressure points and match you to the right mattress for your body. No fake sales, no guessing, no pressure. Just honest guidance and better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio, and, well, I'm looking at the people who have pulled out of the America 250 celebration. Crazy. Two names that surprised me would be Martina McBride and Bret Michaels. He says there are safety concerns. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if that were, a legit concern. I mean, the way President Trump has been targeted for assassination attempts. I mean, I guess at least Bret Michaels is the one who says it's a safety concern. It surprises me a little bit. I always thought he was, but still, again, I don't know. With the way the left is as violent as they are, you never know what's going on there. The Democrats who are promoting violence against the president and indeed against anybody who speaks up for America are now making fun of the fact that these performers have lost. So the terrorists known as the Democrat Party have, it looks like they're claiming victory by making it dangerous to be a patriotic American. So that's their victory, I guess. By the way, Elron, thank you so much. I think I said Crestwood Mall. I didn't mean that. It's the one with the dove on it, the West County Mall, that one. So thank you for correcting me on that one, Elron, because, yeah, they closed a long time ago, and it's now a gigantic Deerbergs. Okay, yeah. But, no, I was talking about the one with the dove in front of it. I can't figure out why that dove is there, but it's distinguishing, Have you guys checked, by the way, on that ramp? I put a pickle jar one time there a long time ago during the Resist We Munch days with Al Sharpton, and I put a pickle jar on the off ramp of 270, and it's since taken off. I think one of the TV stations did a story about it because there's always a pickle jar there now. So don't ask me why I put it there, but I did, and just there it is, and that's lasting. It's been there it's the pickle jars of varieties of different areas have been there now going on about 10 years. So Julie says they're still there. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't. Somebody did a story about it, but didn't give me credit, which I'm very upset about. But for about like 5 seconds, but because I don't really care about that. But that was my doing. I just want to let you guys know, just in case you're telling your grandbaby's stories of Allman history. So, speaking of celebrations, so guess what's happening on President Trump's 80th birthday? All the rallies, the No Kings people are all having protests on President Trump's birthday, his 80th birthday, which is June 14th. And they're all gathering, and they're even having a concert, a protest concert on President Trump's birthday. And you guys know where this is heading, right? So the reality is that there are loads of left-wing kooks gathering for President Trump's birthday for a guy they hate, but they're all going to be gathering. And I realize, well, it's a protest. It's like, no, you're actually gathering on President Trump's birthday. And protesting a guy who doesn't care one whit about you. I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's celebrity right there. That is being famous. When people are all getting together, they're spending money to get together and everything else. It's a pretty funny thing. And by the way, also speaking of these amazing ironies we see, and this is quite possibly because Democrats, a lot of them, are like spoiled children who are always told by mommy and daddy how special they are. And the news media continues to prop them up and give them this false sense of pride and everything else to the point where they make absolute fools of themselves. One great example of that is Hillary Clinton, who is treated like a queen by a majority of the news media. And how else could you explain why Hillary Clinton, her last name is Clinton, people, okay? How she could put out a tweet, something on X, complaining about President Trump defiling the White House with his construction. How is it possible that she actually can do that with a straight face? And on top of that, Hillary Clinton got her deserved responses by the thousands by people on the internet, and you can guess what those responses entailed. And, of course, again, Hillary Clinton complaining about a president defiling the White House. I mean, that takes some balls. And she has them almost for sure. But that takes that and no shame. And, of course, only a person who has been propped up and celebrated by the news media could possibly say something like that with a straight face and not think the first thing that will come to mind for most people when the word defile the White House, the words defile the White House come out of a Clinton's mouth. It's pretty crazy. All right, also, by the way, man, these guys are trying everything. So now, Graham Plattner, the Nazi, and it's so funny, like these guys are called Trump a Nazi and talk about how he's a Nazi and all this kind of stuff. And they're actually trying to get a Nazi elected to the U.S. Senate. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, Graham Plattner is now claiming, because he's running against Susan Collins, Graham Plattner has now decided he's going to claim that Susan Collins sent him to die in Iraq. And I didn't think it was possible to actually be attracted to Susan Collins, I mean, for her words and things like that. Susan Collins is probably one of the more annoying Republicans, but she's not a Nazi. So I think this is an easy one. But this is her response to Graham Plattner's claim that she sent him to war.
Senator Collins, Mr. Plattner says that you sent him to war, but in fact, he enlisted twice.
Correct.
What is your comment on that?
Well, first of all, he not only enlisted twice after the war was started, but he also went to work for a security company, a controversial one named Blackwater, after his term in the service was over.
I mean, so honestly, speaking of how can people say that with a straight face, we've got a situation here where not only did Graham Plattner enlist, which is what everybody did, by the way, there was no draft, but he also, after he was done, he went to work for Blackwater in Iraq. And now he's claiming that Susan Collins was the one who sent him to war. Hey, can we take this? This is Real America's Voice over there. Andrew Bailey is on television here discussing the security preparations ahead of the Soccer World Cup. Let's check it out. Andrew Bailey, hometown boy.
At its absolute best. As co-deputy director of the FBI, I can say with complete confidence that the law enforcement professionals across South Florida are prepared and committed to keeping this event safe. Our goal is clear. We will protect the community, the fans, the athletes, and everyone through our combined might. The partnerships in this room are not new. They are time-tested and mission-hardened, as I mentioned. When those first matches kick off on June 11th, Florida will be ready. Our collaboration, our planning, and our commitment will leave a lasting legacy for FIFA and for every major event that comes to this state in the future. The world will be watching, and together we will make sure they see the very best of the United States of America and what Florida has to offer. I thank you for your time and attention, and I want to turn it over to our special agent in charge of our premier field office here in Miami, SAC Brett Skiles.
Yeah, so that's Andrew Bailey talking about the fact that there will be very tight security at the World Cup, and it's going to be a pretty big deal. And also we had this announcement as well regarding soccer, and I'll go ahead and play this for you because this just came through.
Welcome back to Sports Dome. It's the startling confession that has the whole sports world buzzing. Soccer has come out of the closet to tell the world it's gay. A FIFA spokesperson made the announcement at a press conference earlier today.
Soccer is not ashamed of what it is. Soccer is a gay sport. Youth League soccer, the MLS, even the World Cup, all of it is completely gay.
Joining us now to discuss the impact of this is OSN senior analyst Reggie Greengrass. Reggie, why did soccer choose to come out now?
Mark, league officials said soccer was just tired of pretending to be something it's not. Deep down, soccer is about a bunch of guys running around, not touching a polka dot ball with their hands. It shouldn't have to hide how gay it is.
Now, will this change the way the game is played?
No, if anything, I think we'll see a firmer commitment to the gayest parts of soccer.
Interesting.
Players will feel free now to do their bicycle kicks, juggle the ball with their knees, and generally just be as gay as they want to be without worrying what people think.
You know, it must have been difficult for soccer to hide the fact that it was gay for so long.
Absolutely. From ancient Greece to modern-day France, there has never been a time when soccer wasn't extremely gay.
Yeah, and as recently as 1885, a London tabloid ran a salacious story about soccer.
Yet rumors like that are what caused soccer to go to great lengths to hide its secret, Mark, as we saw in the early 1990s when soccer tried to project an overly macho image, headlined by Alexi Lala.
Well,
yeah, so anyway, that just came down, so shocking news. I didn't expect that. I thought I was just going to see what Andrew Bailey was talking about with the security concerns with FIFA, and then that of course that announcement came after it. So there you go. That's news, and I'll tell you, sometimes we do a really good job of covering breaking news here as well. Oh, by the way, did you see this? This is so great. The White House is basically coming out with this major league troll with the aliens.gov website. Did you notice, though, by the way, that even Fox News will not call them illegal aliens? Like everybody on Fox News, even no matter how conservative you are, Jesse Waters still calls them illegal immigrants, which, of course, I think maybe they call them migrants too, illegal migrants, because the term illegal immigrant is actually, it's an oxymoron. You can't be an illegal immigrant. Being an immigrant is a legal process. It's a process that makes you an immigrant. So you can't be an illegal immigrant. You have to be either an illegal alien or an illegal migrant. Anyway, the White House went live with this new site, whitehouse.gov/aliens, and it's a sci-fi themed masterpiece. Spaceship coming down, and actually it's a spaceship coming down, and it's putting a person, shooting him across the border wall, and the headline on it is "They Walk Among Us." So far, 14 million views of this, and this is what they say on the website. For 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods, and interacting with us in our daily lives. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences, with one exception: they do not belong here. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it all up and even accelerate the invasion. So, good for them. Always thinking, those people over at the White House. Hey, it's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. Of course it is. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy Fancy Friday, everybody.
Sometimes the best intentions are in need of redemptions. Would you agree?
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are about to retire, or if you are newly retired, you want to make sure you double back if you're newly retired to make sure you've got everything rocking and rolling. Some people just go ahead and just retire and just like throw caution to the wind. You don't want to do that because you are living 20, 30 years after your retirement with the way things are going these days. You're eating kale, right? Of course you are. And the doctors are all a lot more informed and everything else. And so people are living longer, which is a great thing. But it's not such a fun thing if you can't afford living in your golden years, if you're constantly struggling. So here's the situation. The Gemini Wealth Group, these are 5 people with more than 100 years of combined experience in investiture, in portfolio management, everything else. And these folks are going to make it work for you and make it sing for you in your golden years. So let's talk about the diversification of the investments. This is really super important because that's really going to be the main thing that is the main engine for your golden years and enjoying your golden years. So you can live off the dividends. That's how smart they are in terms of investing. Is they have a proprietary approach to investiture, and it's really going to pay off for you. So you live off your dividends, and then, of course, they also do calculations, and they look off into the distance for you in terms of your housing costs. How much is it going to cost you for your medical expenses? How much is it going to cost you? Or what are you planning on doing? What kind of fun are you planning to have? Are you going to do some kind of travel? Or are you going to try to get some kind of vacation home? Are you going to help the grandkids with their college? Whatever it happens to be, they will absolutely make it happen for you so everything is going smooth as silk in your retirement. Now, if you are hearing this, you're already retired and you're hearing things coming out of my mouth that are unfamiliar to you, you need to pell-mell to the Gemini Wealth Group. The GeminiWealthGroup.com, proud supporters of free, common-sense conservative radio, the GeminiWealthGroup.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Psst. Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Staff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Ford Trail, and the original Stefanina's in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at steffspizza.com. Steff's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
News, analysis, opinion.
She is making New York less safe. President Trump has done more to protect the citizens of New York than she has.
It's not in China's interest or anyone's interest for there to be any sort of forced change in the status quo.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Grasser Home Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. Let's get to the beach and surf. I'll be watching my son, Ethan, surfing out in San Diego in about a week and a half. He loves surfing. He's good at it, too. Still watching Andrew Bailey talking about FIFA or FIFA. I now can't remember what it is, but even that is... You can't come up with anything else. Foo-foo fifi. Foofy. Anyway, I was telling Ashton when we're watching, because this is how obnoxious I am. I was telling Ashton, like, because Andrew Bailey was answering questions, I was like, I should call him, like, on the phone right now. The deputy FBI director. That's pretty obnoxious, though, right? Yeah, of course it is. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so everybody is freaking out. All the anti-Trump people are all freaking out because the individuals on the right are calling Tallarico a vegan. And because he at one point said that we need to be meatless to save the planet. And so now everybody's like really super defensive, including Tallarico himself.
They're going to throw everything they've got at us. They've already called me a radical leftist. They've already called me a fake Christian.
I mean, it's interesting how he's actually saying things that are absolutely an apt description of him. I don't know why you are giving them ammunition by basically repeating the things that they say about you that are absolutely true. I mean, you don't normally draw attention to the negative things people say about you, right?
They're going to throw everything they've got at us. They've already called me a radical leftist. They've already called me a fake Christian. They've even called me a vegan, and those are fighting words in the state of Texas. You know, I'm an 8th generation Texan. I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment.
Well, that's a pretty good line, but except it's absolutely untrue regarding the indictment and things like that. That completely was a propped up bowl of nonsense. But it's funny because he apparently, for a guy who is so confident and who is in a situation where he is very defensive and everything else, it's interesting how it got him. It's making enough of an impact on the way people feel about him that he had to get a picture taken of him with a gigantic turkey leg. Holding a gigantic turkey, you know, those things that people eat at the fairs and stuff. But by the way, that's a very attractive look when you're walking around with a turkey leg. Don't stop doing that, whatever you do. It's kind of like when you're eating the pizza in a cone. It's really attractive. It makes you, it really turns some heads. So just keep doing what you're doing and eat that turkey leg. That people must eat them though, because they look pretty good though. I got to admit. But here's the other thing. Apparently, I have to look at the picture again. But apparently, when he was eating the turkey leg, he was eating it with a napkin. So let's put it this way: the Texans don't like it when people eat barbecue with napkins, like holding the barbecue with a napkin. That is totally not cool. Now, I'm not like a finger licker. I find that really, I can't stand that. But that's just because my mom and my grandmother, you didn't even put your elbows on the table. I mean, you lick your fingers while you're eating, you will be sent to prison. I'm not kidding you. Or chew with your mouth open. Some people do that. I'll never forget this guy. He was a financial guy on Channel 5, and I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not trying to start a fight or anything. But it's a long, long time ago. And I saw him at a restaurant, and he was eating, and he was eating with his mouth open, like wide open. And I've never forgot that. I'm sorry. My parents, my mom and my grandma turned me into such a prude about everything that I'm like, I get like the hives when I see people eating with their elbows on the table. I don't ever say anything to anybody or anything like that. You know, I don't mean to be a priss about it. But one of the other things, and apparently that's a thing, like in TV, people always eat with their elbows on the table, and then the worst look would be eating with one arm on the table while you're eating. If you do that, I would not do that anymore. Like people who kind of lean over on their plate. Ugh. Anyway, listen to me. But anyway, I will say in Texas, you do not eat barbecue with a napkin. There's just that's uncool. And Tallarico, there's nobody more uncool than that dude. And it's so funny because the Democrat Party, these guys, I don't know what they're thinking. Like so it's almost like the land of misfit toys. You've got a guy with a Nazi tattoo. You got a Nazi rape apologist running for the U.S. Senate, and you're like treating him like he's some kind of American hero. And then you have this fake Christian Tallarico guy who's such a fraud, and you guys are like, oh, he's great, he's fantastic. I'm like, wow. I mean, how do you even with a straight face? I mean, of course, this is the same party that has margaritas with wife-beating illegal aliens. I mean, what is wrong with you people? I mean, if we had a decent media around here that would call these people out, you wouldn't have half the trouble you're having. If somebody just kind of, like, even if the media kind of did its due diligence so that it would be revealed what a ditz Kamala Harris was, the Democrats might have had a chance to win an election. But instead, they're just running around like they are unaware of anything true. It's really crazy. I don't want to give them any advice, but wow. I mean, you guys are out of your minds. Tallarico's not going to be the next U.S. Senator from Texas. He never will be. And so, but they're still kind of acting like, oh yeah, no, he's fantastic. He's I mean, this guy is crazy. But I don't understand how the Democrats listen. The Republicans have gravitated towards some pretty bad candidates too. I get that. I can't remember. It was some woman a long time ago. Do you guys remember this? Was it 2008 or something like that? And it was, and I can't remember what state it was, but she was like really a bad candidate. So Republicans are not averse to hanging out and clinging to bad candidates and people who just aren't going to win. But Democrats seemingly kind of have perfected that art. All right. Yesterday, I brought you the wonderful briefing by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he was filling in for Caroline Leavitt. And I think it's great that these guys, every day when they do have the briefings, there's somebody new or somebody from the cabinet or whatever. So it's really fantastic. Anyway, Caitlin Collins, this is a great exchange between Bessent and Caitlin Collins of CNN. And she, they were talking about the possibility of President Trump's likeness being on a $250 bill for the nation's birthday, 250th birthday. And she basically teed it up for him, and then he wound up taking on the Washington Post. So she basically asked a question and got the Washington Post in a little trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I have two questions for you, but just to follow what you said about the...
Well, you didn't call me doctor, so I'm only going to get one.
Well, I'll shoot for two. You said that it's up to Congress. The president's face is on a $250 bill, but it is actually the Washington Post that's reporting two political appointees from the Treasury Department who have asked agencies to be ready to do that. Do you think politically it's a good idea to put his face on a $250 bill when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
I don't really understand this Washington Post article. That who hears from the Post?
By the way, I don't get the part of that question is weird. Like, do you think it's okay to put him on the $250 bill when people are struggling with gas prices? Like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Where did that term come from? My mom always said that. She used to call me a bull in a china shop because I'd break things accidentally or I was kind of clumsy sometimes. You're like a bull in a china shop. I'm like, I for a while I didn't understand it. I never really understood what does that have to do with the price of tea in China. But I'm not averse to using that terminology because we kind of get what that means. Doesn't mean I don't know what exactly the origin of that is. But anyway, these kinds of questions are so stupid because you're like, wow, he shouldn't be on the $250 bill because people are paying more than $4 for gas. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, it's crazy.
I don't really understand this Washington Post article. That who hears from the Post? Yep. Terribly written, terribly edited, because basically what it says is that Treasury is following the law, and that we've created the bill, and that it's up to Congress, but that we follow the bill and it's up to. I didn't really understand what the story was.
So,
anyway,
appointees aren't involved in that. 2 of your political appointees.
Yeah, of course, but we prepare for everything if it gets passed. Just like we were ready 6 months in advance for the one big beautiful bill for tax guidance. So we have to prepare in advance.
The worst part about these kinds of things is when the people, these hardworking people in the cabinet, have to kind of double back and reteach some of these journalists just the basics. So Caitlin Collins' question was, well, we know Congress has to approve that, but the Washington Post is reporting that 2 of your people have been advised to get ready. And so that doesn't mean that suddenly they're just going to pop him on there without Congress's approval. And Bessette has to go back and say, hey, we're always ready for stuff. If Congress approves it, then we're going to be ready to go.
Just like we were ready 6 months in advance for the one big beautiful bill for tax guidance. So we have to prepare in advance. You can't draw something up the day before.
Politically, do you think it's a good idea, though, when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
Look, I think it has, that it's bifurcated. Do you think we should have a 250th anniversary, the celebration?
Well, that's happening anyway, but putting the president's face on a $250 bill is a choice.
But Caitlin, it's not happening anyway. It's happening because it's being funded by private citizens, by the federal government, by state governments, by municipal governments to celebrate our country. And I don't think that there's anything untoward about having the President of the United States, the person who was President of the United States, on the 250th anniversary bill.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make, and I just don't understand her point about, well, do you think it's appropriate given that people are struggling with groceries? It's like, well, what does that mean? It doesn't make, there's no connection whatsoever, but anyway, who's counting? You just have sympathy for these dummies sometimes, you know? Hey, guess what? Elizabeth Kaiser, Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser is on her way to give us our data center AI update, and things are getting kind of hectic down there in Festus. It's Common Sense Radio. Happy Fancy Friday to all of you.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Duchenne High School, Moolah Yomo, and Mobile Magic Auto Body. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hungry at midnight? Craving a home-cooked breakfast at noon? At Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, we've got ya 24 hours a day. For 35 years, folks have been coming back for our famous fried chicken, bone-in catfish, country fried steak, slow-cooked pot roast, scratch-made pancakes, or a slice of homemade pie. Daily specials and a loyalty rewards program that actually pays off. There's always a reason to come back to Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles. Skip the wait. Join our wait list on Yelp or at ginghamsrestaurant.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story. After I got my pilot's license, my instructor said, now go scare yourself. I did.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Stars Gourmet Food and Wine Shop.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL this fancy Friday. In the studio, ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Kaiser. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser, 8 o'clock on Sundays here on News Talk STL. And give us an update on what's happening. It really is interesting because, you know, you're here basically once a week. And by the time a week passes, there's always something new and developing in the world, not only of the data centers, but also of AI. And the news today is that in Festus, they have enough signatures, apparently, to go ahead and pursue this recall of the mayor.
They do.
And so that whole data center thing became a real quicksand pond for a lot of these people out there. So what's the latest on that?
Yeah, so Jamie, thanks for having me back on your show. I really appreciate it. So the latest on the recall that you're talking about, apparently the county clerk has certified the signatures, so they are valid signatures. There is one petition for one of the councilmen. They actually still need 36 signatures. They have 10 days to get those, and they probably will because it's only 36 signatures. But they do, the clerk did verify the recall petition and the authenticity of the signatures for the recall for the mayor and the other two councilmen. So the way it stands now is that there will be another election. Recall is kind of a funny word. It's not really real accurate. It causes a lot of confusion because people are like, recall? How's that recall?
Yeah.
So it's probably good just to kind of ignore that word and not try to interpret that literally. But the election is going to be held August 4th for those other 2 or 3 councilmen. Of course, one resigned, so that became moot. I think it was a woman that resigned. And also the mayor for the election of the mayor. And the way, and it's kind of confusing. So a few weeks ago, you know, we had those councilmen that were voted out, that voted for the data centers. And people are really confused with the recall. It's like, well, if they were voted out, why are they doing it? It doesn't make any sense. It's because the remaining councilmen actually, they were not on the ballot a few weeks ago. And so it wasn't their time. Because in Jefferson County, it's staggered and all of that. I just don't know how detailed you've got in your show. So I'm just kind of explaining that a little bit to the audience.
Sure.
And so they weren't able to vote those people out because they simply weren't on the ballot. So these are the people that still voted for the data center and said, oh, we got to get this election. We're not going to wait until next April 2027. No. We don't want to wait that long. We want them on the ballot now because we want to oust them. So that's the whole motivation and the purpose behind this petition. They call it recall, but which is a little confusing.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite frankly, the word is, and it hasn't been, you know, it hasn't been publicized yet, but the word is, the mayor's out anyway. He's not gonna put his name on the ballot. So even though the names are going to come on the ballot, a lot of these councilmen are saying, I don't care what you do. I'm not running again. I'm out anyway. Do what you want.
So what exactly, are you familiar with some of the allegations, I guess, or the complaint against the mayor over this whole thing?
I really have not got into those details as far as the complaint. I think they're saying that there was a violation of policy, there was a violation of due process, but really the biggest argument was that they're trying to, I think, recall everything just because of the vote itself, and you can't really have any legal recourse because somebody voted a certain way. But when you have election, basically they're just saying, we want to do it all over again. We want to put these people back on the ballot, and we want to be able to, and with those signatures, you know, you've got to have 25% of the registered voters, and that's a hefty bar. And they were able to actually achieve that bar, which is surprising.
Yeah.
And of course, they're lacking one of the councilmen, and they'll probably get those 36 additional signatures in the next 10 days, which I think we're down to 7 days now.
Yeah.
On the other side, on the litigation, that did get remanded to state court. State court has signed off on it, so they have reaccepted the case with the same judge presiding. And that will just continue on in St. Louis County state court. So it's no longer in federal court. I think we talked a little bit about that last Friday. Yeah. And, you know, that's just Festus. I mean, that's just Festus.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've got the other one, the Pacific one, which is being debated. And there are a lot of people in Pacific who are not happy about it. And I think what's happening here, Elizabeth, is that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information. And there doesn't seem to be a big, gigantic effort, although I had Bob Clark on the air here to tell me about the data centers because he's
Yeah.
responsible for building them, that kind of thing. But there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information about what these are. I guarantee you ask 10 people what a data center is, and I'm not quite sure they'd be able to tell you every single one of them.
Well, and that really is the salient point because nobody really knows what the data points, no pun intended, but the data points, what are the relevant factors that need to be looked at and considered? We've got, on a broader scale, kind of more of a panoramic of what's going on in the country. And I think this is really interesting, is that you've got now 69 jurisdictions that are passing bans on data centers. Maine is one of the first states right now. They're on track to pass a permanent ban on all data centers in the entire state. But you've got 69 jurisdictions that are passing bans. There's this all-time high, and there's good and bad. There's good and bad here, but there's this all-time high. They're calling it AI anxiety, and it's producing a lot of civil unrest. And it's just in the past week, you've got death threats. You've got a lot of these AI experts that really there's this huge contest or dissension in terms of what's going to happen to the jobs. You've got one school of thought. To me, this is fascinating. One of the people on my round table, which we are now calling a think tank, which we are now putting together this tool that I talked about last Friday, the North Star Brain, to help mitigate a lot of this contention and bring some elucidation to the relevant facts. But Keith and I were on the phone, and he just issued this fantastic report on what's happening in the country, and it's in the form of its Artifice Sapient, which is his company. He's in Silicon Valley. But he just issued this blog, and I said, Keith, this is perfect because I'm going to be talking on Jamie's show. But just the entire country, you've got this one school of thought saying that we're gonna have a net result of increase in jobs. There's not going to be a net negative. We're not going to have this huge job displacement. There's going to be a net increase because of the efficiency and the jobs that are being created by AI. You've got another school of thought where the economists are saying that may very well happen, but it's going to take a decade. This is another school of thought, all theoretical, of course. It's going to take a decade to get to that point to where we have a net effect of a positive effect in job increases.
Yeah.
And during that decade, we're going to go through this depression. And, they analogize that to other economic depressions that we've had in the country, the Industrial Revolution, things of that nature.
Well, it's kind of like it does seem to be with AI at least, and we talked about this last week because of all the younger people at these commencement addresses all booing people who talked about AI. But my assumption is that, man, if you are entrepreneurial and you are diligent, you actually can take advantage of AI as opposed to fear it or just wait for it to come and eat you up. I did want to ask you, though, about the data centers in terms of so what they're building new data centers, but what's the closest we have to a data center now? What do they do? What's powering all these things they need a data center to power now?
So the closest thing that we have to a data center in the state of Missouri, is that what you're asking? Because that's probably over in Kansas City, and people are taking tours there.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people you and I both know, in fact, are taking tours there. And apparently they're opening it up so people can actually learn, what that looks like. I believe that's the Google data center in the Kansas City area. So, the closest thing right now, we've got a standstill. We've got a stalemate, of course, in Festus. There's no ground broke. There's no date of any ground being broke there. They don't even have it projected because of all the litigation. I've not really paid attention too much to what's going down at the Armory because that's actually a low-budget data center. I'm just looking at the major ones. But in terms of just the panoramic view, for example, this is so interesting. You've got the massive layoffs. You've got Oracle laying off 30,000 people. You've got LinkedIn laying off, I think, another 22,000 people. You've got a lot of these. You've got Cisco, Microsoft laying out thousands and thousands of people. And then at the same time, you've got OpenAI, which is their tool, is ChatGPT, which everybody knows ChatGPT is the gold standard, right? That was the first LLM that came out. So you got ChatGPT that just closed on this $433 billion funding round, which is huge. But at the same time, you've got internal documents from the same company, OpenAI, that were leaked showing that they're going to lose 80% of all their subscribers to ChatGPT. And they're going to be reporting somewhere to the tune of $250 billion loss for this year. And yet they just closed on this funding round. And some other good news is you've got labors for Samsung. Everybody knows this huge corporate giant called Samsung. Well, Samsung, and here's some good news. The employees, instead of being a massive layoff, the employees actually saw these windfalls of Samsung getting into the microchip market. And so Samsung had this huge profit, this big windfall. Well, the employees put together a contract and they started petitioning for a massive raise, and they were just successful. So they've been able to successfully negotiate this huge $26 billion profit package for the employees. So, you've got this mixed bag, and then you've got some companies, and this is big. This is kind of a montage, and I think it's just really interesting to see all this pockets of things happening. You've got, here's good, Mayo Clinic. Now they're able, because of AI, they can detect pancreatic cancer now 3 years earlier than any human doctor.
Yes, I heard about that.
And that's notoriously always caught too late.
That's very cool.
That's
Yes.
very cool. That's
Yes.
very cool. Then you've got other companies like Uber and Starbucks, huge corporate giants, Uber and Starbucks, that are scrapping their investment into AI. They put tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into these AI tools because it's kind of like the Kool-Aid. It's like the fad. It's like the sexy thing you got to do is you got to invest all this money into AI. And they finally said, no, there's no ROI in it. I can't see any return on investment. They're scrapping it. They're going backwards now.
Oh, interesting.
So you're seeing this vacillation, this erratic going back and forth when it comes to financial, the economists, the different theories in terms of, are we going to have massive layoffs? What is that going to look like? Are we going to have a net increase in employment because of AI? How long is that going to take? You've got Sam Altman under gunfire. People are shooting his house at night.
Yeah.
A lot of civil unrest and, everything in between. So in the past 2 weeks, Jamie, it's been pretty explosive.
Yeah.
Pretty explosive as far as what's going on with AI. And the thing that most fascinates me, though, is this, this theory that there's this fictitious capital, like billions of dollars go into AI, and nobody really knows if there's going to be a profit at the end of the tunnel.
The thing that I think is also clear, there has to be a lot more of a discussion about this, because right now what's happening, and we saw that with the commencement speaker, especially the ex-Google chief, who there's too much of the, well, it's here, and it's great for you, and you got to all go with it. Instead of actually just, you're coming in and people are taking it like, oh, here comes the music man again, telling me, that we've got trouble and I'm right here in River City and I'm going to take care of it with all my trombones and my, and people have to be more explicit in their descriptions of this, because otherwise, as you pointed out too, there's a void and it's going to be filled by
negativity.
Something. Yeah. Exactly.
Was the nature of horror is a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? And when there's a vacuum, people typically put negativity in that. They don't put positivity in that. That's just human behavior.
And maybe they're right. I mean, that's the problem, is nobody knows, or very few people know. And it's not because they're dumb, and it's not because they haven't taken the time to investigate it. It's because there's been too much of the, look at this beautiful thing that we've built for you. Now, come on in. And instead of actually explaining how, even to those students, like how you, as a graduate from college, how you actually can ultimately maybe even get rich off of AI.
Yeah. I think the word that's driving everybody right now is uncertainty. And you can use the metaphor and the parallel with the stock market. When there's uncertainty in the stock market, which God knows we've had in the last 20 years, different economic inflection points with the latest, the Iran war, uncertainty will cause erratic stock market. Well, that's what's happening with AI. It's full of uncertainty because it's uncharted waters.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth Kaiser.
Thank you.
We've got about a few seconds here. What is going to be going on here on your show, 8 o'clock tonight, Sunday?
Yeah.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Dr. Mark Gordon. I'm super excited. He was interviewed, and he's been on Joe Rogan 6 times.
Oh, cool.
And he's coming on my show. He's an endocrinologist, interventional endocrinologist, and he's all about the brain.
All right. Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
with us, as always. Elizabeth Kaiser. Ashland, thank you so much for everything. Hope you all have a fancy weekend as well as this fancy Friday. Tony Colombo and Company coming up. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes.